Thank you. I think we're live on YouTube, and I would like to take this opportunity today to greet everyone, morning, evening, and afternoon, and convey a very warm and a very special welcome to Miss Ekaterina, whom we're deeply humbled and honored to have a conversation focused on peace and leadership with today. Welcome everyone to the Pop Climate Leadership Conversations, a tribute to our chief mentor. This project aims to strengthen youth leadership and explore tactics that empower the youth to take action and tackle the most pressing environmental issues faced globally. We are conducting a series of conversations on leadership strategies, recommendations, reflections, and examples, each focused on global leadership and a different pressing environmental issue. This initiative is designed and implemented as a tribute to our chief mentor, late Dr. R.K. Pachauri. Today, we have the greatest pleasure of speaking with Ms. Ekaterina, President of the Permanent Secretariat of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates, about peace and leadership. With that, I convey a very warm welcome and much gratitude to Ms. Ekaterina for being here with us today and for giving us the pleasure and privilege of learning from and basking in your great wisdom and inspiration. Thank you very much, Ms. Ekaterina, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Ash.
Thank you. Over to you, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great introduction, Dr. Ash. And I will now go ahead and introduce our guest speaker for the day. Ms. Ekaterina Zagladina has worked as the president of the Permanent Secretariat of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates since 2006. When she was nominated to serve in the role of the former USSR President, Nobel Peace Laureate, and founder of the World Summit, Mikhail Gorbachev. Since then, the summit has grown substantially at an international level in every dimension. A practicing attorney, Ms. Zagladina has served in big corporations like Ernst Young and Volkswagen Financial Services of Russia in the sphere of law and compliance. She holds a degree in international law and linguistics and interpreting, both from Moscow State University. Ms. Zagladina is a member of the Moscow Region Bar Association, which is attached to the Ministry of Justice of Russia. As president of the Permanent Secretariat, her main objectives are to assist Nobel Peace Laureates and other peacemakers to spread their messages of peace and to inspire other citizens, organizations, and governments to achieve peace through dialogue and mutual understanding. She believes deeply in the peacemaking and the mission of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates. Ms. Zagladina lives in Paris and speaks 4 languages: Russian, English, Italian, and Spanish. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will hand it over back to Dr. Ash Pachauri, who will be asking our first question.
Thank you very much, Anna. And once again, a very warm welcome to you, Ms. Ekaterina. What a pleasure and honor. And thank you for making time to share this insightful conversation and input. I know will leave all of us deeply inspired as always. If I may, I'd like to start by seeking your thoughts, Ms. Ekaterina, on what you believe leadership is, particularly in the realm of youth and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. I think it's better to start this topic by touching, you're right, by touching what the leadership means itself. And here it's important to say that we are not speaking about the leadership of for the sake of power or for the sake of somebody's interests, but we're speaking about the natural leadership for topics, for issues. It's not about ego. It's not about promoting oneself or promoting one's own identity. It's about the natural self-expression in a context. For example, if there is a topic, an issue that is to be resolved, and the person feels like being capable by internal force, by internal talents, by internal knowledge, experience, being able to lead for this or that topic, then it comes naturally. Then it comes from the bottom of the heart, and it comes for resolving the issue and not for self-esteem or for self-promotion. That's a very, I guess it's a very important. It's a very important aspect that we need to consider regarding the leadership in a. I apologize for my allergy. Regarding the leadership among young people, considering that they acquire, while growing, they acquire experience from year to year, it's important if one seeks the leadership to resolve the issues, it's important to follow one's own heart, one's own internal convocation, what I can lead people for. It cannot be it can be multiple dimension. It can be not only one topic, environment. And I think it's important to lift here a fixed idea. I need to lead people for the whole of my life for one context. It's important to see how the personality develops throughout the years and acquires new knowledge, new experience, and can really acquire new talents and lead in this direction. Again, if you follow not an idea to feed your ego to become a leader, but you follow to resolve the topics, you may open with the run of the years a lot of talents in yourself, and you can actually lead for many topics. And that's, I think, the key to the leadership. And I think the social environment puts a lot of pressure on young people, saying you have to be the leader. You have to be the leader for what? Do we need all these leaders, or we just need the good human beings able to resolve topics on a normal basis? Without, there is a distinction between heroes who do things for being a hero, or there are true heroes who do things and they don't know that they are heroes, So here we have to distinguish what you need the leadership for. And growing a lot of leaders, it's great, but I think leadership is mixed here with this resolution of topics and having career, having going to political dimension, necessarily taking up a position. I'm not speaking about everyone. Of course, there are lot of leaders leading for topics, and that's, this is the great leadership. Even politicians, they need to grow naturally. It shall be convocation, and being a leader in for example, in some artisan sphere, for example, getting together people for growing natural food, is the same value for humanity as being a leader in politics, leading people for just organizing people. Yes, these are different talents, and it's important to understand here that everyone has to follow owns internal feeling where it's the best way to open the talents. So I hope I answered your question.
You did, absolutely, Ms. Ekaterina, and in fact, you brought up some very, very powerful points, and I think that this would be probably the most profound message I would take away, that really, doing what one does and does it from one's heart is key. And how do we really classify leadership? And is leadership really only what is visible on the outside in a proclamation as a leader, or are you a leader because you're doing good things and you're spreading that goodness, making that difference, and are not in it for the sake of the title of being a leader or being celebrated as a leader, but really celebrating being true to yourself and doing it. Sorry.
And there is one more aspect. The funniest thing is not the funniest, the most wonderful thing in here, when one's own follows the talent And it proved to be with many people as if the universe gives you everything to that, to open up your talent. If it is artificial convocation, that a lot of obstacles come on your way. So it's just one can even try on a small hobby. Yes, you can even not necessarily giving up your main activity right away, but trying with your hobby. How would it go if I just follow my heart? If I just and then there can be a lot of proofs coming that this is the way that it may work.
That is so true. Things line up somehow, right? And that, I don't know, it's the laws of the universe or something, but it makes it line up. So uh, that's such an interesting thing, and I hope everybody listening here, walks away and does some of that and practices it, because I think it's really important that we learn to be true to ourselves first, and that's when we can start to be true to the rest of the world. That'll come naturally. Thank you for sharing that, Ekaterina. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful question and that wonderful answer. It was very inspiring to hear. Now I would like to hand it over to Vanessa, who would be asking our next question.
Thank you so much, Anna. So my question is related on personal peace while we work on seeking for solutions on global challenges. So how can we all work on personal peace to make it part of our lifestyle? And what role will peace play as we face and seek for solutions on global challenges? Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. Yes, you're absolutely right. The world around is very connected to the internal world of a personality, and it's whatever happens in the external world, it's the way you see it. And the more the heart and the soul and the mind are contaminated, the darker the outside world is. So here's the point is that of how much of positive thinking, the so-called positive thinking, or perception of the world one see, how much of the trust a person has, how much to the external world, to humans, whether there is a fear of humans, of the world. And it's a little bit of psychological maybe thing that one builds own world, external world, from how many obstacles one built in their own heart. So we are speaking about being more open to the world with a heart. We're not speaking about some romantic things. It's a very practical thing. By opening a heart to the world, to humans, it means that one can really build a harmony between internal world with the external world. The way it is achieved, of course, is to harmonize inside of you, your own world, your own perceptions. If we speak about if our thoughts, words and actions are negative, of course, the world brings the same reaction. And it's not the reaction, it's actually the perception of how world reacts on one's own actions, words and thoughts, because the thoughts and words and actions from inside world are coming with negativity. So it's about being constructive. It's about being positively constructive. Okay, we face a problem. There is some issue. Okay, but there is no fatalism in this. It's the way we perceive. It's like it's thinking like a water. So we see the obstacle. We see some negativity. Is it possible just to wash it with the good thinking words and action, positive thinking words and actions? Is it positive from my side not to struggle against this, but to try to build up a constructive dialogue with this negative environment? I don't believe that struggling negativity is possible with negativity. It's about to build a way to find a harmony, because we are all humans, and the world is not uniform. it has different expressions, and everyone is on its own level of evolution. So it means that someone who already got some lessons and had own conclusions as in another level of thinking shall not insist on other person being the same, because we're different, and this is the beauty of the world. But it's always possible to not losing yourself, to express your own idea and finding a way to constructively explain your position, to constructively resolve the issue, and humanly explaining your point of view. And that is what I call, this is the connection between the internal and external world, where the peace is built through dialogue, through constructive dialogue. And this is what and there is another aspect. What I face a lot in the world now, that when someone struggles for the human rights of a group and starts to forget about the human rights of others, and that is kind of overcoming, and as if other groups don't exist, and that's becoming extreme. So it's important to always keep in mind that the freedom of one's personality ends when the freedom of another personality starts. So it's important always to have this midway and constructive dialogue, listening and being responsive also to someone's thoughts. It's always possible to find by minor steps this midway, if there is a capability to listen and to dialogue. This is what I think is important in the current world, and to face any global challenge is not possible if we are not able to face our small minor challenges in daily life, in our families, with our friends, fellows, neighbors. It's a small training. One needs to just try to train him or herself daily with building up the dialogue in any life situation. And of course, it's in ideal world, it should be the human mentality, yes, to build this constructive dialogue. And that is the response, in my view, to these global challenges. As I mentioned, the global challenges, as any problem, the way we perceive them, do we perceive them as a final obstacle beyond which nothing exists, or do we perceive it as something that is like it's really a challenge? So meaning that you need to find this way of these pieces of puzzle in order to understand how to resolve it. It's like a quiz or whatever, So the thinking should be really constructive and positive. There is always a way to resolve it, and there is and for some reason it's given to us why we need to resolve this challenge now, and then when you are open and relaxed in this moment, you can find a way always to relax. It's important to just step back and see it from this, some people say helicopter view or outside view, as if you're not involved. And these are the ways to be able to be neutral to the situation and being able to dialogue. Emotions don't help here. So when one's put a war can start, the emotional war. And then when some war starts, it is very difficult to resolve any challenge, including global one. So constructive dialogue, positive or neutral thinking, and just not seeing things as fatal.
So thank you so much, Ms. Zagladina. I think I feel like really inspired right now, and it's like wonderful hearing to all your knowledge. I really agree in all the subjects that you just shared about the constructive dialogue, and also to be neutral and to see the issues in an outside way. in order to find a solution and a peace and a constructively solution for these challenges. Thank you so much for the opportunity for sharing your knowledge with us. And thank you for inspiring us in this subject.
Thank you so much, Vane, for that great question, and Ms. Ekaterina for that wonderful answer. I would now like to hand it over to Ms. Midori Kawano, who's joining us from Japan, and she'll be asking the next question.
Thank you very much, Anna. And again, it's very honored to meet you and to be here with you all. And let me ask you the second question. So how can leaders spread the philosophy of nonviolence? And what is the role of peace education in forming the next generation of leaders? This is the next question. Thank you.
Excuse me, can you repeat the second question?
Yes, sure. Second question is, what is the role of peace education in forming the next generation of leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Leadership is always through one's own example. It's when we pick up the first question, my answer was that leadership is for the topics, is not for the sake of promoting one's self. So it's always a natural way of living. This way that person lives means also leading other people. If a person leads by example, then the person is able to become a true leader. It's coming natural, and people see that the person is really lives in the same paradigm. That's why it's really important, and it's a very good question also, that unfortunately we are not taught this on daily basis. I think it's maybe now times are changing, but in my school or the university, these skills were not explained how they function. It's maybe people just acted intuitively and just were given this talent to become natural leaders. And there are tools, and there are this knowledge has been experienced by many people, and I think it's important to give this knowledge about experiences of of experienced leaders to others, in order to understand that it's not so difficult to become a leader, and it does not require any kind of specific preparations for years. One can become a leader in a natural way. And again, coming back to the question, what do we mean by leadership? That's why education is a very important tool, just to explain the way one can open oneself. And secondly, we are speaking about soft skills. There is a second aspect, of course, of becoming a leader in a certain area or in a certain sphere, when one needs to get more experience, like, for example, becoming an environmentalist. You have to get some knowledge, some hard skills, and you feel a convocation of your heart to become the environmentalist for oceans, for example. Then you've got to get some hard knowledge, hard skills, in order to be practically advanced in this area. That's why I think education shall give both these soft skills, giving good examples of how leadership can be expressed, and hard skills in a certain area the person wants to practice. For example, you might know we have at the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates the youth program Leading by Example. And it's constructed in this way, that we always expose very experienced personalities, starting from Nobel Peace Laureates, continuing with the civil society, and then youth leaders, to show these examples in terms of soft skills and hard skills. So educational aspect is, of course, a fundamental tool to spread this idea, because some in our society, we have a lot of paradigms that are very strict. The creativity means just drawing or singing or whatever, but I think creativity is just life, where it's the way you express yourself. So it's important to show to young people how to become a creator in one's own life, in daily life, even in the profession, to open up this creative flow and to be just yourself and the leader and whatever you want, an expert. And education can help with that, because social paradigms are very strict in terms of that you have to have a career, you have to have a certain profession in order to be successful, you have to be this or have to be that. Not necessarily, you have to be yourself. And that's a fundamental principle. And education of the new era has to give this knowledge as well.
Thank you very much for your invaluable wisdom. And I really liked and very happy to hear your opinion. And so what I was inspired was that creativity is how you express yourself, you said. So, and in Japan, I think I usually don't really find the schools that can teach those wisdom or knowledge. So I hope many of people in Japan also will watch this video on YouTube and then learn those skills and how much important to make inner peace and to find ourselves and then listen to our inner voice and to follow our instinct and to be a good leader and also be that students in education. Sorry, but thank you very
Just
much.
one remark, just again, we shall not push people to become leaders. It's something that is also a strict paradigm. So people shall just follow their heart. Not shall, they may choose to follow their hearts and not necessarily becoming leaders. You may have a small community of five persons, not necessarily leading crowds. And the leadership is not, again, a name. It's just important to, the whole life is about to express yourself, and not somebody's dream and not somebody's thought. So I just plead all your Ash. Leadership is something that is for topics, and not necessarily one needs to become a leader. One can become an artist, and that's it, and live for himself or herself, exposing the true great artistic pieces or pieces of art. There was one very special topic raised in one of the conferences where I took part. And when I said that the society has to think of how to just grow good human beings, happy human beings, and that there is so much suicide now when people don't find themselves and they just don't understand how to realize how to grow this seed from themselves into the external world, because external world is very predetermined. And here it's important to see these half shadows, half colors, not just go into extreme. There's only a red or blue. No, there are a lot of semi-shadows. So it's important to open this creative flow in oneself.
I totally agree with you, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to hand it over to Paola, who will be asking our next question. She is from Mexico and she's a new member to the POP family.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to be here. And I've loved all the answers and all the questions that have been told in this meeting. And I think that my question would be, how can we environmental activists can become ambassadors of peace? Also, what's the importance of us environmental activists being ambassadors of peace? And what are tools and strategies to do so? Because I think especially for the youth that's involved in the climate crisis, I think it's very hard because we were just born into a very anxiety-inducing world. So I was just wondering, what are some tools?
Can you repeat? You said the ambassadors for peace, right?
Yeah.
And what are the tools to become ambassadors, right? This is what you would like to hear. What do you mean by ambassador of peace? Just a question from my side.
I think professionally, but also how can we encompass, like how can we represent peace in order to be able to spread it? Because yeah, I think it's I think it can be interpreted like how can we develop a career in being an ambassador of peace, but also how can we ourselves also represent this.
Thank you. So I think it's a very good point that you just mentioned, that it's important that one feels to be the ambassador of peace, and then it comes to any career. It shall be a natural convocation of one's own heart. You cannot build career on a very on something that is not coming from your heart. You know what I mean? It's like as if becoming a musician for career. Can you imagine that? There shall be some talent inside, or there shall be some convocation inside. If you do music, or if one sings for building career, it's fine. I mean, as long as this goes together hand in hand with the talent and convocation of your heart. But I think these sacral things like talents or convocations of the heart, they cannot be used these cannot be taken artificially. You know, you cannot take it artificially and having this as a tool to build up your career. If one is a natural musician or is a natural painter and is a really talented person, then one can become popular from the essence of what this person is doing, and not for being popular. I just draw any picture because I have a technique and I draw a picture and I sell it. It's also a way, but as you know, there will be something missing in any case, I guess. So becoming ambassador of peace shall be convocation of a heart. If we see a lot of examples of peacemakers, it's something where person first harmonized internal world with external situations, and in a way person is naturally able to peacefully resolve issues, to peacefully see the peaceful way of resolving issues. If this is not the method that is used, then it's not the way of being ambassador for peace. It's then something artificial, and something that also it can be also a way. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying in order to become an ambassador of peace, one needs to build own world of peace. As I said before, trying to even practice this peace daily among communities, among family members, classmates, and then becoming a true ambassador of peace through expressing the philosophy of peace. It's like a philosophy of life. It's a daily, it's the way of daily life. It's the way of you live daily. And then coming if a person is really good in this and advancing and is conscious about what each day brings is in own life, how one resolves the topics which are faced daily, then you can really offer this talent to the world. And then, of course, there are institutions where one can go and really give your talent, your energy, your thoughts, actions to the communities through being through building a career in an institution, or building own NGO, or working on individual basis. It's I would say it's the first becoming ambassador of peace. It's the way you live. It's not something that one can take as a career path for artificially. I don't know if I expressed well the idea, but I hope that it's something something that is answered previously by me. Just to give you some examples, among the Nobel laureates, we have a lot of personalities who were in the very difficult political contexts or economical contexts, and the way they dealt with the issues maybe was not perfect in some cases, and there can be a lot of criticism, but they were not thinking first of all of becoming the peace ambassador. They were just looking at the issue to resolve first, and then fame came and career came. It happened afterwards because they were ambassadors of peaceful way of thinking, or non-violent way of thinking by themselves naturally. And each Nobel Peace Laureate had own strong characteristic that brought them to this way of peaceful thinking. Like I always like to give an example of President de Klerk, who actually was criticized afterwards that he gave up his own party, but he knew that apartheid is not more the way to live in his country. So actually, at cost of his own political career, he knew he wouldn't win the next elections. He just did what was right according to his conscience. So a person literally gave up the career for peace. So I think it's just a matter of how the person lives, and then things come together. They will start to collect.
Yeah, thank you very much. I completely agree. I think it's a similar situation when, for example, there's a saying that says you can't love someone unless you love yourself first. I think it's very, very similar to this case, right? You can't be a representative for peace unless you live a peaceful life yourself, unless you're at peace with yourself. So yeah, thank you very much. It's very inspiring.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Paula, for that great question, and Miss Ekaterina for that amazing answer. I would now like to hand it over to Ash for his insights.
Sure. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been a very deep and important and profound conversation. And I just want to say thank you for so much that you've shared with us in a matter of minutes, actually. And I think that, you know, I recall my first conversation with you, and, you know, you exemplify it yourself. I know you believe in it. All of what you've said to us here you know, you believe in it and you live by it. And therefore, when you say, you know, leading by example, whether you practice it in your life alone with yourself, and therefore thus is the honesty with oneself, or it's with the 4 people in the house, or the 10 people in the house, or the 15 people in the community. You know, that is true to oneself. And the moment one is true to oneself, you know, we're able to live by example, but very importantly also we exemplify. And you know, you're a case in point, frankly, because I know at your depths you believe in everything, and therefore it's a true synchronicity with your internal self. And that internal self ultimately will live in dissonance. If you said, like, for example, for the sake of being a musician, one picks up a music instrument and learns to play it, and then we start to play it, where actually there's a complete state of dissonance with what I internally am and believe versus what I do on the outside. And therefore, being true to oneself is so important in order to be true to everyone else. And that truth will manifest. And people, I think, no matter what, will always see through what it is that one is. And in that is also the relation to what Paula just said, which is that you can only give if you're in a place where you yourself are full. You can love if you know how to love and practice that with oneself to begin with. And I think, you know, these are very, very powerful messages, because oftentimes we find language such as leadership, for instance, very loosely thrown around. People think leadership is about having a title. It isn't about that at all. So I just want to say thank you for sharing so much with us. And I know, Miss Ekaterina, I've had the privilege of spending time with you and talking to you about practices that make one with oneself internally at, you know, mind, heart, and soul. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I know it'll allow many to practice just some strategies that you believe in and you feel would be the essence to share with the many people I know who listen to this conversation, what we can do to really find that oneness at the many different dimensions of our existence, and therefore also live by it. I'd love to hear your thoughts, please.
Thank you for this question. Believe me, I also made my way for this philosophy, and it took me years to understand who I am. Even though the life brought me to the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates, I was, at some moments, I was unconscious. So it was just intuition which I followed. And then I realized who I am, what I want to do. So it's okay. The most fundamental thing for practicing one's own true natural way is to accept that whatever happens, it's okay. It's okay. There shall be no stigma of yourself or stigma of others. As I said, everyone goes own way, and the evolution is is true for each one. And we shall not say, I'm more advanced in this, that's why, and you are doing wrong. And the person does not even hear you. That means that you have just to stop and respect the way the other person evolutes. It's okay as well. It's the same true as your evolution. Nobody, so the fundamental principle is no one is better or worse. No one. We are equal by birth. And the way each person chose to evolve, we have to respect it. One shall not impose to another the way of one's own living. But from the other hand, it's important to get rid of other paradigms that are not ours. So it's like to keep your own internal space free of somebody else's paradigms, but not imposing your paradigms to others. it's still okay. We can always find a way how to cooperate, even being on different steps of our lives. It's still okay. We can always find it, but it's important not to stigmatize people, because tomorrow this person can become even a spiritual leader. Sometimes even criminals became then a very much advanced personalities. It's the way the evolution happens. People have to go through certain lessons in life. No, I don't call them lessons. It's a little bit like a punishment, but experiences. And these experiences is like an experiment. Do you pass through this experiment fast or not? It's not about failing it or not. It's about how you go through it. So life gives you, sometimes we can even think, oh, something negative is happening to me. Why? And sometimes we can see even it repeats the same way, That means there is something inside that always triggers this outside world to react on your inside, maybe negative reaction. It's all about the attitude. So once you start to be conscious and to figure out immediately, oh, I'm again in the similar situation, I again react the same way. Why do I do this? Why do I spend all this energy to react the same way each time? It's like a deja vu. Huh? So you just start to be a little bit more pragmatic, loving yourself. Oh, I don't want to spend so much energy on this negativity anymore. So is there other way to go through it, like water, maybe passing by, or going another. So it's all about, so first is nobody worse or better. We're all one. We need to keep our internal space very clean from paradigms, being true with ourselves, as you said, Ash. And also understand that we're going through life like a school, So we have lessons, and in order not to face the same lesson, which maybe is not pleasant, we have to then find another solution. And peace is always in love, and not in a romantic way. We hear a lot of love. What is love? It's just accepting yourself with all your dimensions, maybe dark sides, light sides. It's okay. We work on dark side, again, constructive way, and then on dark and light sides of others. That's it. And then it's just to look at the situations in a way that allow you to find these other solutions, and trying to be more flexible. And of course, maybe it's a little bit too theoretical, and one has to dig more in these topics. There are a lot of, I think, materials, coaches, trainings in this way. But in brief, these are like small examples. And one more thing that I would like to say, and Ash, you're absolutely right, regarding being true to yourself means that we shall try, even on our smaller environments, to be true of ourselves, in families, in smaller communities, in schools, at schools. Sometimes someone, to become someone, wants to travel to another part of the world. But we forget that we have families. We have parents, we have grandparents, sisters and brothers, friends, close to persons, whom we forget. Maybe they need some help, they need some leadership, they need, and this is where it's the most difficult way to practice, actually. We prefer to practice somewhere else, not in our families. And this is the best school. And if one manages to practice with good results in families, I assure you, going somewhere outside will be like a peanuts. Other things will not be so difficult, perceived so difficult. And I just I just would like to plead that there are so many communities around us in our hometowns that require help, and we should. And it's sometimes we dream of stars, but the true issues are sometimes here around us. So maybe because sometimes we can set up very good goals, big goals. It's great. It's also true. But if you don't know from where to start, just look around and start from smaller things around you, even within your family. Do we respect a lot of our families, parents, grandparents? They are our ancestors. It's something that if we deny it, we deny part of us. Whatever the relations are, if the relations are broken, try to build them back. Huh? What a challenge, global challenge.
That's so beautiful. That's really beautiful. And I think, this whole concept that you shared, which is so important, about moving beyond judgment, learning to love and respect, doing that with oneself and living with integrity to oneself, then is living with integrity among others. And those others, we, like you said, we sometimes think of going very, very far and doing this, which in some ways may be wonderful in order to be able to magnify it. But at the same time, our ability to practice really is at home. As I say, that, it starts at home. So that is absolutely beautiful. And I love the point that you shared at this time. It is true. So many people just need someone to listen, care, share, support. And it's an opportunity to be that person and be that person who is one with oneself. And I hope all of us, and I think this is how global families are formed. This is how the universe does become a family, when we start to do this. So you've shared something that is, like you said, we could talk, it could be a much longer discussion and so much more, because this is touching on the subject in some ways, but life is a journey, and we have things to do and things to experience, like you said rightly. And on that journey, we're together, and there are many others too. So embracing them en route is so important. I just want to say there's so much that you shared with us, which is deep and beautiful. And I hope all of us can keep it close to our hearts and bring it to practice and to fruition. And I think with that practice, probably like exercising that muscle, and it becomes stronger, and that's part of it. Thank you. Really,
Yes, thank you, Ash.
this has been
And
sorry, please.
just a small experiment, and it is a practical tool. Your community is about environment, right? So like there are a lot of activists, there is a word, struggling for something.
Yes.
And I prefer to use protecting or preventing rather than struggling, but because when you struggle, that means that you struggle against something, and it's like, and then there is a small exercise. Just try to put your arm on another arm and just start to push. Do you like it?
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Super sure. Yeah, absolutely.
This arm doesn't feel fine because it's being pushed. It's a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the environment, anyone doesn't like then this push.
Yeah.
That means that you build up a wall between you and the counterpart to whom you interact.
Yes.
It's always shall be this respect and understanding the reasons why another part does not see the way you see, and trying to build this interaction.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's such an important thing because, you know, we loosely use language, uh, words like the fight or the struggle or the war. You know, those are very indicative of a lot of what plays out in the subconscious ultimately, and also certainly what we communicate. And so it is a lot of the energy that one embraces, one communicates, one shares, and then creates more of. Um, I really appreciate that point, and I hope you know, we can keep that in our conscious minds at all times, because that's where we'll be able to start making changes. And it is about coming together, and it is about loving, caring, sharing, respecting, and embracing genuinely. So that's where I think we can form a beautiful and you know, beautiful world and family where we can learn from each other and bring out the best in each other and be our best selves as well. And that is being the true self we are to, and you know, who we really are. And too much time and energy is spent being something we are really not. And that in itself, I think, generates a certain energy which is undesirable. So I think you really
Yeah.
shared so much with us. Thank you. Really. Any last thoughts that you'd like to share, Miss Ekaterina, as we close out and we listen to you with love and gratitude?
Yeah, I think one more thing
Yes.
we need to keep in mind is to um, it's all about accepting yourself, because once we are not accepting ourselves, we start to prove ourselves in outside world and that's why how we become not ourselves. For example, if in the childhood somebody told to a person that this kid doesn't sing well because the voice is not okay, the person just blocks himself or herself for not being a singer. But it was just a personal opinion of someone. And the kid was not in the mood to sing, so maybe the voice is okay. So it's just what you feel. If you want to become a singer, okay, then just try to make it. And if it's a convocation of your heart, if it makes one's happy, that's why when we say about peacemaking, it's if you divide the word peace and making, it means that making peace in each moment of your life. And as you said, being true to yourself, to be in peace with you, in harmony with yourself. And this is how we find ourselves. Um, and sometimes then the war stops. The problems don't appear anymore. You don't perceive them just as problems. You just perceive them as a situation that you have to go through, and that's it. It's not any more problem. I saw the comment that was like, we use a lot the word problem. It's not a problem and not even a challenge. It's like a situation. If you perceive it more neutrally, but it's a small, it's a tiny work, daily work, conscious work. So if we stay conscious each day, if we don't get into emotions, as I say, jumping out of yourself, you because emotions they start to govern us. Not we govern the emotions; they govern us. It's important not to, of course, oppress the emotions, because then they remain on subconscious and it's a very hard thing then to deal with. But try to live with this, and then naturally understanding, I don't need anymore this emotion. It's destructive for me. And there is a sort of, I heard sort of egoism, a little bit of egoism. Try to keep yourself, your own internal world clean, just for the sake of yourself, in order not to lose yourself. And then once you stay aligned with your own truth, we all have a internal compass of what is human, and what is not, what is somebody's ideology or paradigm, yeah? And then when we start to act humanly, oh, we feel so fine, even if sometimes it may look from outside like you may be a little bit crazy. Why are you look like a little bit too pacifist.
Right. That's fantastic. Really, that's so wonderful. And I think this whole perception that's created with words and language is so important, because this influences our positions, our responses, our communication, and then of course, reactions also occur accordingly. And you're right. Finding that place where one is one, with being who we are, and being human and humane. And yes, you're absolutely right about that. And I just want to convey from our heart to yours with much gratitude, really. Thank you for the beautiful messages, for the great teaching, and the opportunity to learn, be inspired, and also practice today. Um, we will take this away and imbibe it in our lives and our beings, and want to convey our depth of gratitude for your time, and your insight and wisdom. And I also want to say that we truly believe and live as a family. And I want to convey my gratitude to you for helping us to express and really magnify that in our lives. And thank you for being a precious part of our family. Thank you very much. And I want to also thank all the Pop family who's here with us, which includes you, Miss Ekaterina, for this time, this insightful discussion, and for the beautiful messages we take in our heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you for whole Pop family, and I feel very much at home. And I feel that we have a lot in common with each one present today and not present. And the philosophy, your philosophy of the philosophy of Pop movement is very close to my heart and to the hearts of our colleagues. We really very much appreciate our cooperation, and hope to build up more conversations for the benefit of all.
Thank you, really. The whole concept of folding one's hands is that this means we put our hands here because I pray to you from my heart to yours. And so I just want to say that I genuinely express that as we speak right now. And thank you, and echo every bit of the sentiment. And we shall continue to learn and be inspired and exchange, and very importantly, practice in our lives. And I'm sure with goodness, one of the most beautiful things is it grows. The more we share it, the more it's going to grow. So I just want to say thank you so much, and to much more. I just and we'd love to get a picture with you if we may, please, Miss Ekaterina. Thank you. So Drisha, you want to turn your camera on if possible, please, if you could. Thank you. Thank you so much. I shall share this picture with you as well. Thank you, Miss Ekaterina. Thank you very much. Thank you, family. Thank you all. Okay. Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.